Welcome in to the I-80 Boys Sunday morning live show. This is Chris Vaca, one of the co-hosts of this show. We got this part-time podcast host. What's his name, though? What's his real name?
You can call me old C Hunt. Chris, I'm going to have you take over the show for just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, buddy?
Yeah. Okay, no worries, guys. See while Christian gets his stuff figured out there. I am going to look in the chat, and what do we find in here? We got a little Nebraska talk, guys. What do you think about that game yesterday against La Tech? Minnesota, Children of Corn laid a turd last night, giving up 37 points to Northwestern. They gave up 3 touchdowns in that game in the fourth quarter while it went to overtime. That surprised me a little bit. I didn't think Minnesota was great, but Minnesota is not a good football team. They do not have an elite defense. Yeah, Mike, God, buddy, I love your optimism, man. But I got a question for you, Mike. What makes you think that Nebraska can play within 7 points of Michigan? Asking an honest question from what you've seen so far of 4 weeks of college football. I hope you're right, but I just don't see it happening, man. Solely based off one word would be defense. Yeah. I think our defense is good, but what about the offense? I mean, Iowa has a good defense, and we saw what happened to them last night, getting blown out the water 31-0 because they have no offense. That's what scares me about Michigan. Michigan does have an offense. We have a good defense, but when you're on the field, like I said last night, 80% of the game, I just don't see how Nebraska even keeps that thing close, to be honest with you. If we had some sort of offense with this defense, I'll give it to you. But this team reminds me of the 2021 Nebraska Cornhuskers, that 3-9 team. Christian, how you doing there, man? You're muted, sir.
Hold on one second.
There he is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry, I had to purge myself of that terrible football I witnessed last night. Just ineptness all the way around. Couldn't take it anymore.
I was just answering a couple questions here. We talked a little bit about Nebraska. We talked about Minnesota. Just completely shitting the bed in the fourth quarter of that game last night against Northwestern. A bad Northwestern team, I might add.
Eesh.
Ooh.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, let's kind of, before we really get going with this, I mean, this puts a lot of context into the next week with Michigan and Nebraska kind of coming to town here. Obviously, everyone's talking about the defense is probably going to keep you in this game offensively. I still woke up this morning and I still have my same thoughts on offense. And that's 8 of 17. 8 of 17. 105 passing yards.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. That's what I've been saying. I just don't see a rhyme or reason how Nebraska. I think Nebraska's going to struggle to win another game from here on out. Honestly, the offense. I've seen enough after 4 weeks to know that the offense is one of the worst in the country. Personally, I mean, I don't know. When you're running your quarterback, what did Harburg have yesterday? 19 carries for 157 yards. Yeah. That's awesome. And Anthony Grant ran the ball well, but I mean, I thought they would maybe open up a little bit of the passing game. I didn't see it. Yesterday.
Mike says, okay, let me ask you this. After the Michigan game, what games look winnable? To me, Illinois looks winnable, Purdue and Michigan State. Well, not saying we will, but they'll look more winnable than some. I mean, theoretically, every game after Michigan should be winnable, right, Chris? I think the problem is, again, I think the theme is just going to be offensively. What do you guys do from here on out? If Anthony Grant gets hurt, there goes your offense.
That's you brought up a good point. That's another thing, guys. We're 4 weeks into the season. We got half our offensive starters out. You know what I mean? We lost 2 running backs to season-ending, injuries, and we don't have much of a wide receiver core. We really don't. I mean, name a playmaker on the outside this year for Nebraska. Billy Kemp. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. I like Billy Kemp. I think he's a good player, but that's the thing. Christian said it right there. He touched on it. I just don't see a way how Nebraska's going to score more than 14 points the rest of the season in some of these games. I really don't. And I'm not saying the Big Ten West is any good, but it's scary how inept the offense looks and how little playmakers we do have on the offensive side of the ball this year, guys. I mean, to answer your question, Mike, I don't think – I think Illinois will be a good game. It is at Illinois. I think we'll hang in that game, but Illinois is probably a better football team, I would say, so far this season than we are, just from four games. I'll say the same thing about Michigan State's a team that has no head coach right now, a bunch of controversy. I would like to think that we could beat Michigan State. Purdue, Christian talks about their defense, lack thereof. They're atrocious defensively. But, okay, I'll give you one of those two games. But now we look at what? Northwestern? I mean, they beat Minnesota last night. I'm saying that we probably can beat Northwestern. We should beat Northwestern, but this Big Ten West too is just a joke, Christian. It really, truly is. I mean, who's the best team in the Big Ten West?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know, honestly. Again, I know a lot of people would probably say Wisconsin, but I mean, can you really say Wisconsin? I mean, Wisconsin has just about every game they played in made it fucking really, really interesting. Mm-hmm. Their defense isn't as good as they normally are. And offensively, they just lost a huge piece. They didn't lose Braylon Allen. They lost, who was it? One of their other running backs,
Chaz Molesky, or however you say his last name. Yeah. Yep. He's a good back.
Just lost him. I mean, so they can't throw the ball either. Basically, the thing that I take away from this, like when Nebraska, because you guys are playing Wisconsin this year, honestly, Nebraska could win that game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They could definitely win the game. They could definitely beat Iowa at the end of the year, too. But just from the small sample size, me personally, in my opinion, I just don't see a game that's an automatic W right now for Nebraska going forward. I don't.
Yeah. I mean, the shit's getting interesting. I mean, I'm surprised Gator Swag isn't in here trying to talk shit about how Florida beat Charlotte 22-7. Looked real good there. You let fucking Biff Poggi almost clown your ass on a fucking television last night.
Oh, the graham cracker, baby. Let's go.
Let's see how he did, by the way. Let's see how the elite quarterback, Graham Harold Mertz, the fifth, looked last night. He was 20 of 23, 259 yards, 1 touchdown. I didn't play bad.
No, but 22 points against a 1-3 Charlotte team at home in the swamp? Jesus. My voice got a little high there. I almost did what you did.
Yeah, what was it I said?
Oh, what the hell did you do? What the hell did still laughing about that last night. That's good stuff.
Here's another question for you. How does Rule address the offense during the offseason? I think if it was up to me, how would I do it? I'd probably...
Is Satterfield the answer?
I don't think so, but again, I'm one of those kind of guys where it's like, do I think long-term Satterfield's the answer? No, but I think that if you give him a couple years, maybe they could put something together a lot better in the same system, right? Like we see that all the time in the NFL, where guys regress all the time because every year you're changing the coordinators on them.
Yeah.
So everything changes. I think that, again, like I'll give you an analogy here. One of the best things I think to happen to Georgia is our running backs are all beat the hell up. The first 4 or 5 games of the season, right? I mean, seriously, we got down to like walk-ons playing running back. So what I think that does is that forces you to have to throw the ball more and to develop your passing identity. And it helps a young guy like Carson Beck, I guess, kind of get acclimated as well. He's not young, but you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where I think maybe one of the best things to happen to Nebraska would be if Michigan comes out there and takes the ability for them to run out of the equation and forces Nebraska to have to throw. My question is, you've got 2 losses. You're not at this point. The best case scenario is you go 10-2, and that's the absolute best case scenario. So why not? You're not making it to the playoffs, more than likely, right? Even if you won out. So why not just throw Harburg in there, and let the kid throw. I mean, instead, we know how this is going to end up going. He's probably going to get banged up against Michigan. He'll go in, he'll play some meaningless game and get hurt against like Illinois or fucking Northwestern or some dumb shit like that. And then Jeff Sims will come in and have like one really good game, and everybody will start saying, "Well, we should have been playing Jeff Sims all along."
Ugh.
And then it's like just start Harburg, try to protect him, live in that offense. I mean, just throw the ball. This is what I was trying to talk about last night is like, these games, NIU, La Tech, these are the games where I think, if you're an offensive coordinator, you try to get your quarterbacks in rhythm. And so it's like you did what you did best, which is run the ball. He ran the ball 19 times yesterday, and you only beat him 28-14. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think it's no, you're right. You're on to something there. I'd like to see him throw the ball more. They're going to have to throw the ball in some of these games if they get down. I mean, unless you're trying to play that, get beat like the Patriots do, 28-10 and just keep the ball in the offense's hands and not make it look as ugly. But I mean, nobody wants to watch that kind of, style of football either. I will answer your question though, Mike. What he needs to do is go out this offseason, get some playmakers on the edge. And I mean, like wide receivers. We don't have any. There's nobody creating space out there. And we need to get – I know the Xavier Betts thing didn't work out for us this year, the kid from Bellevue or whatever, and, he quit the team or whatever happened. But we got to get somebody out there with some speed and take the top off of defense like Trey Palmer. I'm not saying it's got to be Trey Palmer, but they need to get some playmakers on the outside.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Mike says the funny thing is passing-wise in pregame, the best passer looked like the kid from Iowa Western. Not sure his name. So that it probably wasn't obviously Sims or Harburg. Was it Purdy?
There's that other. I think they got that other. I think he is from Iowa. I can't think of his goddamn name, and he's probably not. You're probably not wrong, Mike. I can't think who the hell that is either. I know I've heard the name. I could ask the kid that lives with me. He knows everybody on Nebraska's roster here, but I don't know. Like I said, they got to get something going offensively, though. They got to get some space, help Harburg out a little bit too, throwing the ball. Again, we're down to one running back too, in Anthony Grant. He pretty much took all the carries yesterday. Like Christian said, hopefully he doesn't get hurt, because if he does, we're in a world of hurt. Then even trying to move the ball on offense on the ground. But
you coming in, Isaiah McMaris and Devon Hall, are they part of that? Was that Bellevue trio or whatever?
I know that kid, the quarterback that's coming in is from, where the hell's he from? That kid that's in the top 10. He was down in that Manning camp thing, did really well. I can't think of his goddamn name. He's committed here. But yeah, like I said, I don't know a ton about recruiting. That's one thing I don't follow a ton of. I know kids' names, and that's about it. I'd have to look at Nebraska's actual roster this year and see who their QBs are here. Oh, is that Luke Longville kid that played? That what you're probably talking about? He's the kid from Sioux City, Iowa. I think that's who you're talking about. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, Nebraska's got. I mean, we're going to find out. We're finally going to play a good team in Michigan. I think we'd all agree here. Michigan's a pretty good football team this year. They haven't looked elite, haven't played anybody really, but we're going to find out what Nebraska looks like against a top 10 team next week.
I think it's ironic. You guys keep calling him the Carney kid. I saw something yesterday with that game. Matt Millen said Heinrich Harburg was the first kid from Kearney, Catholic, to play Division to play Division I football. That was immediately wrong. We know.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, we know that for sure. Huh? That makes you, yeah.
I don't know where the fuck they're getting their information from, but anyways,
yeah. Let's take
a look.
Yeah, let's move on from the Nebraska topic here for a minute.
Chris, looking around, the Dogs beat the Dilfers. I mean, the Blazers 49-21. It was an ugly game, but they took care of business at home. Georgia is not going to get through this year once they actually get to SEC play undefeated.
I'm going to ask a Georgia man and yourself, are you scared next week of the Auburn Tigers? That awesome elite defense.
I was going to say
Tigers.
the same the same offense that trotted out and managed to get a field goal against a Texas A&M team that got dog walked up and down the fucking field against Miami. That same one.
That exact same team.
No. I think Florida scares me more than Auburn does. But again, this is what we have to deal with the Auburn and Florida man of the world. And that is, it's going to be, you're going to be scared to play us. And it's like, no, I mean, Georgia could probably fuck around and sleepwalk through that game and still beat them. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it might be closer because, again, for all the problems Auburn's had, Georgia has had its own on the offensive side of the ball. And we got Spencer Rattler lit us up for a half.
Yeah, he did. He did in that game. He looked amazing in that first half.
Then realized he was in the state of Georgia and did what everybody does in the state of Georgia. He folded.
I going forward with Georgia's schedule, I just got to pull it up here, but I'd be more scared of Kentucky or maybe even Florida, Missouri, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't be worried about Auburn. No, I don't think. I just had to throw that in there because that's gonna be what Carson Beck's first road game in a division game, and we know Auburn's a tough place to play. But yeah, after watching Auburn the last couple of weeks, I'm with you on that one, Christian.
Because I'm angry. I moving on to the next game here. I called you yesterday morning, about a minute into the game, Rutgers and Michigan, and what did I say?
Rutgers gonna win this, baby. They're gonna win this one, Chris. No, you said it was gonna be a ball game, though. You did.
I said I saw the pregame warm up. I saw the Rutgers quarterback in that pregame warm up. He looked different.
Yeah.
Boy, was I wrong.
Well, again though, we sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong on this show. It happens, man. It's tough. As many predictions as we make, man, it's hard to be right about everything. So, now I think Rutgers was 3-0. I don't know what Rutgers really is, but I don't think they're a terrible team. I don't think they're an elite team, but
very middle of the pack, marginally average, I think is the word to do.
There you go.
Describe it. Florida State and Clemson.
Woo!
The thriller.
Yeah, I'm gonna step on campus tomorrow, probably Tuesday by the time I get there, and I'm gonna go get the old shoe out of the basement there, get warmed up, do a little kicking for the Clemson Tigers over there. I mean, I'm happy they missed that field goal, but my God, man, that was a chip shot. That would have been the end of Florida State there, and they didn't get it done. As we said, Christian, Clemson's done, man. They're toast. No playoffs for them this year again. They've lost, by the way. I think I heard the stat today. 4 out of their last 5 conference games they played. Think about that for a second with Dabo Swinney.
Jeez, dude.
Hey, fall of Clemson.
We're at the last 5.
Yeah. Going back to last year where they lost to South Carolina. Well, South Carolina in their conference, they lost to Tennessee or whoever or no. Yeah. So I mean, Clemson's just not a good football team. I don't think they're very good at all. Will Shipley is a stud, but Cade Klubnik doesn't. That kid just doesn't. Wasn't he super hyped up? Supposed to be the next greatest thing. I'm not seeing it, man.
That's what they were saying. I mean, I think a lot of fans of Clemson are probably wishing they had the
ukulele.
Ukulele. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So they better put you.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead, there, Christian.
I was gonna say they better put you up first class. When you get there on campus, give you. That's all I'm gonna say. They need to fly you out, put you.
Yeah.
Do the whole works for you, give you the whole superstar treatment there. Because my God, I mean, just Clemson and anytime they got the ball in their territory, I mean, Chris, they at least scored, but yet again missed field goals and everything. I mean, didn't they even have a new kicker?
Yeah, so before the game they were talking about him. They fired their other kicker because he looked like dog shit against Duke and all these other teams. Bring this kid off the fucking street, goes out there, bangs, he makes one. I think he made a PAT in this game or two, and then he missed that easy chip shot. He could have been the hero, dude. I mean, I don't know what they do. I mean, that game wasn't just the field goal that was lost. I mean, Klubnik didn't play very well. Clemson, I don't know if it's time for Dabo to walk away. I don't know. They have no, by the way, they have no wide receivers over there either. None.
I saw a stat, Chris. I don't think it's time for him to walk away. I mean, here's what I think. I saw a stat yesterday, and this just puts everything into context for you. There's five active coaches in college football right now who have won a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 5. Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Dabo Sweeney, Jimbo Fisher, and Mac Brown.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's crazy.
And it's just mind-blowing to think that, right? I mean, more than likely, you're going to have a 6th one enter the chat this year.
Right.
I don't think UNC again. I don't. We'll get to UNC here in a bit. Does UNC make the playoffs this year? I'm not going to bank on that.
No, they don't.
I don't think Bama's going to make it this year, and I don't think Georgia will either. I think Georgia will fuck around and have one loss throughout the regular season. If they make it to the SEC championship game, which you would imagine they would, they might lose that too.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, we were talking about something kind of coming on to the show, and that's there might be a scenario where the SEC just beats the hell out of each other and doesn't get in.
God, wouldn't that be crazy if that did happen this year? I mean, but let's be honest, we talk about it all the time on the show, but, SEC being the best conference in the last 20 years, without a doubt. And, yeah, this year it's looking that way. LSU yesterday did nothing. Where was their defense against an Arkansas team that just got mollywopped by Arkansas the week before?
BYU,
excuse me. Yeah, BYU, excuse me. That's another thing. I thought LSU, after the loss to Florida State, I'm like, hey, they're going to get it turned around. They did not look good defensively yesterday. You're right. Georgia has not looked like a complete team for 4 quarters through 4 weeks. We both agree on that. I don't know, man. It's kind of, they could all have 2 losses at the end of the year, and not a single team gets in. I know that would make probably most of the country happy, but man, I don't know. I don't know.
It could always be worse. I mean, you could be upset at Lou Holtz.
Yeah, holy shit. What was that all about, by the way? I read some of that, but what did Lou Holtz say? Or try to say, if you can understand him.
Let's take a look here. See what he said.
I'm really upset about. Okay.
Bad half a couple of years ago up in Ann Arbor. The second half, every game we play in, we're physical. We are. Cited Ohio State's consecutive losses to our rival Michigan and its CFP losses against Georgia, Alabama, and Clemson as examples of a team that lacked grit. The 86-year-old's comments and similar ones from other appeared on video boards around Ohio State's football building leading up to the Notre Dame game.
I don't see what he said was wrong.
It's fair. It's a fair point. I mean,
Ohio State's a soft team. They have been. Every time they play anybody any good, they've gotten outmanned. They really have. I don't see what Lou said there was, but that's typical Ryan Day being super, super sensitive as usual, either blaming somebody or the refs or the wind or the sideline not being wide enough. I don't know. That's the problem I have with Ohio State, dude. I do right there. It's like they're so sensitive. They played a good enough game yesterday. That was a good football game. It really was. It was a low-scoring defensive game. It came down to the wire. Like you said earlier, I didn't really think that Ohio State could pull that off. They did. Notre Dame's defense fell apart there in that last series, but big win for Ohio State, though. I mean, Notre Dame looked really good. Now, Notre Dame's got to still play Clemson this year, and I think they got to play USC here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say Notre Dame's schedule is brutal, Chris. Don't they play Florida State or no? Am I imagining?
They don't play Florida State. No, it's Clemson, though. They do have Clemson, which I know we talked about them, but Clemson's not a god-awful team, but not an easy one for Notre Dame either. Notre Dame, Sam Hartman didn't play the best either. I don't know if both defenses are just that good or just I don't know. I mean, it was a lot. I know both teams ran the ball, but it was an interesting football game.
By the way, they said the Nebraska La Tech game still in rain delay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, still going then. Shit. You still there, Christian? Might have lost you. I know you've had some internet issues today again. I don't know what it is with the Sundays. Yeah, Your screen froze. Mike says, big announcement today. Number one O-line in the nation, Brandon Baker, is supposed to announce today between Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, and Nebraska. Yeah, that'd be great if we could. We need a couple more of those. So and I'll be surprised if he comes here. I could see him probably picking like Ohio State or one of those schools. But yeah, he is a stud, though. I do know about that kid a little bit. Also, Minnesota lost one of their eye backs. Yeah. Minnesota, man, this year after having 3 or 4 consecutive seasons, 9-win seasons. Minnesota is going to be lucky to find a bowl game this year, I think. Looks like Christian's going to be coming back in here in a second. There he is.
Here we go. Talking about old crying day.
Yeah, I talked about crying day. Then once you popped off there, I went and answered a couple of Mike's questions here about the big old number one lineman in the country. He has Nebraska on the list. That would be crazy great if we could land him. But talked about Minnesota losing one of their eye backs. That's a big loss to Minnesota, a team that desperately is going to find out that they're going to be struggling to make 6 wins this year.
My question for you, Chris, I want to kind of talk about this real quick, and then we'll kind of get into, and this is also for all the Nebraska fans that we have on the channel, to include our family and everything like that. My question to you, Chris, do you think Nebraska has a quarterback on their roster that they can win meaningful games with that you would trust to throw the ball? Or do you think in the offseason they're just going to have to go out and find somebody else?
No, they don't. I don't think they have anybody that can throw the football on this team. And I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to be hypercritical of Nebraska, but I'm being honest. No, I don't, Christian. I've seen enough of Purdy in his time here. He's never been a great thrower of the football. Heinrich's got a chance to be better, but he's young and he can grow. But I think they got to go out and do something. Jeff Sims is only a junior, right, Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to – I can't think of that goddamn kid from Nebraska here, but he'll be a freshman next year, true freshman. I don't see them putting him in. You don't play true freshman unless you're Chip Kelly. There's only a handful of guys, Trevor Lawrence out there that can ever really do something like that. Nebraska's going to have to find themselves a quarterback. I think they might just roll – I mean, do we have the same controversy next year, Christian, if Jeff Sims stays? And that, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of worried about that going forward too.
Maybe. I mean, again, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. The Jeff Sims thing to me is I don't think we're done with it yet. I mean, especially next week against Michigan. You would think that he would probably be healed and ready to go, but my big question is how do you set Harburg down? Although Harburg hasn't lit it up in the passing game, I think Nebraska probably likes Harburg a lot better. I know I do. I mean, and that's something we talked about last night. Like, if Harburg played against Minnesota, you can't tell me they don't win that game.
Oh, I agree. They do win that game, yes.
So I don't know, dude. Yeah. Daniel Kalen from Bellevue.
Yeah, okay. That's the kid I was trying to think of. He's like a top 15 quarterback in the country or whatever. He did really good on that, whatever that quarterback.
Elite 11.
There you go. Yep. But he'll be a true freshman next year, and I don't think there's any way you can start him at all next year. I don't. Like I said, he hasn't looked great. I did hear the other day he hasn't really looked that great this year at Bellevue, but either way, he is pretty damn talented. I will say that. So that is a bright spot next year for Nebraska, but I don't think you play him or rush him into anything. Maybe we get your boy, the Raiola kid, to transfer on over from Georgia and come to Nebraska next year.
I'm telling you, dude, we got a long way yet. Oh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Bellevue West is not. No, they haven't. Kind of surprising, actually. Where were we at here, Christian? We were talking about Ohio State, Notre Dame. Big win for Ohio State. It was a good football game to watch yesterday, though. I will say that. That's what I love as a college football fan, first and foremost.
Well, I agree with you 1,000%, Chris. Here's what I think we need to do. Hopefully this works. Hopefully I don't. This works here. This is what Nebraska needs to go out and do. They need to get themselves somebody like this right here. That's what they need to do. if they want to be elite, dude, just get them a little. Get them somebody who can throw the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I think I can come out of retirement and still fling the ball like that, dude.
Yeah, well, shit, you still got some eligibility left. Go ahead and come down there. We'll call you the left-handed, or no, you're the right-handed Jared Lorenzen 2.0. Yeah.
The right-handed Jared Lorenzen, he says, I love it, dude.
Yeah,
I love it.
Absolutely, man. Let's go.
Look right here. I mean, bad snap out here, rolling to my right, getting hit as I throw. Bam. Pick up the first down. Let's go, dude. I don't think there's anybody that could tackle me.
Yeah. I'd have to give you one of those oxygen masks, though, every other play, though, bro. I don't want you dying out there of lack of oxygen, though, big guy.
Last one right here. Off the back foot.
Off the back foot.
Drop it in a bucket.
Yeah, that's
okay. By the way, this school right here, this is where AJ Swan played at Cherokee. That wasn't AJ Swan, but obviously. Last one, and then throwing it, just stupid passes into double coverage.
Oh, that's all right. What else is new in Nebraska? Jeff Sims is really good at that. Yeah, I don't know, man. They need to figure it out, though. And like I said, we're going to find out what Nebraska is this weekend against a top 10 team. So we'll see what they do. I hope for the best. I truly, truly do.
Some elite players right now, we don't get those since we're not winning. Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. Again, it's a vicious cycle. You got to win in order to get guys, and at some point, Rule's just going to have to. You're going to have to figure it out. I mean, that's the thing too, Chris. You said Rule's an offensive guy, if I'm not mistaken.
He is.
So, that's what's kind of concerning. Speaking of offenses, Cincinnati and Oklahoma, the nail biter.
Yeah. Closer than most people expected that game. That game came down to the fourth quarter, actually, for OU pulled away with it. Cincinnati, I don't think is too bad a team. They've surprised some people this year. With Fickle not being there, they're still got a pretty good program over there. So hats off to Cincinnati on that one. But yeah, Oklahoma, their big game's going to be Texas, right, Christian? That's going to be the probably two best teams in the Big 12. I think we both agree on that one.
Yeah, that game against Texas, I don't know. Again, I'll know everything I need to know about Oklahoma as soon as they play Texas. I mean, they beat the brakes off them. It was like 49-0 last year.
They didn't fucking score in that game.
So I'll know what I need to. I will say this, though. Oklahoma's defense has looked better. Let's go. Dan the Corn Man.
Woo!
Getting us to 400. We were above 400. Then for whatever reason, we slipped back to 399.
I
appreciate it.
Colorado fan or something yesterday. So he unsubbed. Thanks, Dan. Though we love it, man. Appreciate the support, dude.
And the Corn Man, dude. Try telling them how the corn in Nebraska is just better than Iowa. Let's talk about that. Come on
now. You want to talk about Iowa?
We talk about Iowa. We talk about Iowa. All 76 yards that they managed to put up against Penn State. I mean, they're out here making Penn State's defense look like the '85 Bears. I mean, what is Iowa doing? I mean, just when you think, okay, hey, they finally put up 40 plus points the week prior against Western Michigan. You're like, all right, let's. I think maybe this Iowa's offense has gotten it figured out. They just come out and look inept. I mean, there was one point they had in the fourth quarter, they had maybe 2 first downs.
Yeah, 2 first downs and a grand total of like 58 yards. I don't know what. I know Penn State's defense is good, but my God, like, is Brian Ferentz gone? I mean, is this it? Is this time for his dad to say, you know what? Or did they just get rid of Kurt too? You know what I mean? Like, I think the pressure's on this season at the end of the year to figure out what the fuck they're going to do at head coach or offensive coordinator. I mean, this is bad. I thought Nebraska's offense is bad, Christian. This is atrocious. Again,
this is not. I think it's a combination of things. I mean, lack of receivers, obviously on the offensive side of things, and then just schematically, they look lost. They look like they can't. I don't know, Chris. Like, they just don't know how to play offense. Like, it's bad.
It's weird too, because they used to be known for running the football, and it's like they can't even do that, but they have this great defense every year. It's like, I don't know what the hell Iowa's doing. It surprised the shit out of me yesterday. I thought Penn State was going to win that game, and I didn't expect that game to be a shootout or anything, but I couldn't believe that they didn't keep that within 3 scores. I mean, they didn't score a single point. I mean,
Jesus. Yeah.
I mean, God damn. Yeah.
Dan the Cornman says, for my sake, I hope they keep Iowa keeps Brian Ferentz. I know that would be.
I agree.
They can. I mean,
oh no, losing you, Christian.
Bless America.
There you are, maybe. No, it's cutting out again.
Yes, you take it over.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I say I like that, Dan. That's that's good for Nebraska. Iowa used to be known as tight end university. Yes, George Kittle, Noah Fant. I'm missing another really good tight Hawkinson, man. They've had a lot of great tight ends come through Iowa. I don't know if they have one this year, but obviously if they do, they didn't use him last night or they can't get there. How bad is Cade McNamara, dude? I mean, can he throw a football? He looks terrible. The transfer from Michigan, Christian. I mean, he looked god awful last night too. I know he did have in the time that he did have in the pocket, Christian. He looks worse than Spencer Petras, if that's a possibility.
Well, you said coming into the year, there's no way they can be that bad 2 years in a row, and you would think that, right? I mean, yeah, dude, it's just Cade went 5 of 14 and only 42 yards. I mean, I don't know, Chris. I mean, how much do you put on Cade McNamara? That's right.
A little bit because I mean I don't know. You're right. I don't know. Iowa's a problem offensively. I think they got a lot of problems. You said it. Lack of playmakers. They don't have anybody that can get open. They can't run the football. I just expected them to be better this year on offense. I did. I don't think Cade McNamara was a terrible quarterback in Michigan. I don't think he's elite, but I mean, I just surprised about how inept this offense truly is. I mean, you said it there, 42 yards. My God. Michael Penix gets that per completion at Washington.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, but he also had 2, I think, receivers that had north of 1,000 yards last year too. Though.
Yeah, he's got some weapons. I'm not trying to compare Michael Penix to McNamara.
I mean, Iowa's so desperate right now. They might go try to snap up Eric Gilbert out of the correctional, down in Georgia.
Yeah, they are pretty. Iowa man right now has got to be on suicide watch, I would assume.
Jesus. Mike says, what games are we covering next weekend? You know, we've decided to kind of switch it up a little bit. I think we're just going to do like a Saturday show, like Saturday nights. Just kind of do like an open format, kind of like we did like last night. We like calling the games, but I think it's just one of those things as we go forward, you know, just kind of doing that. It's a little bit better. We can just talk with you guys and have a few adult beverages and just have a good old time. So,
Yeah, the big thing too, calling live games, it's tough if you're watching on satellite because you're ahead by about 10 to 15 seconds. That's really tough because me and Christian both obviously stream. So I know a lot of people, YouTube TV, Hulu, but it's just that delay. I talked about it with Christian. He said, my dad has satellite. He'll call me when somebody makes a big play for Nebraska, which is pretty rare. It's usually on defense. He'll call me and then I haven't seen it. I'm about 3 plays behind. I know it's kind of frustrating for the viewer if you come in and you're 15 seconds ahead of us.
Yeah, and there's a lot of times where like, Corn or you or somebody will be like, wow, and then like, we'll get to it like 10 seconds later and it's like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's just hard, man. But Christian's done a good job. I mean, calling games. I enjoy doing it. We have a lot of fun, obviously doing it. It's but yeah, we're going to kind of go to the open format here and get you guys in here. And like I said, one thing I like about the show, I think you guys do too. That's why you guys keep showing up. I hope is we try to involve the chat. Unlike a lot of other shows out there, they don't really touch much on the chat. So we try to involve you guys. Christian and I, again, I'll say this one more time. You guys probably feel like I'm beating a dead horse at times, but obviously I'm a Nebraska truther over here and Christian's a Georgia truther, but we love college football in whole. We love college football. I don't care what team it is. I love having you guys come in here, tell us about, we have guys from Oregon, Washington. We got people from Utah all over the place. Love hearing about their teams. It makes it fun for me and Christian.
Yeah, those guys must have broke their arms or something like that, patting themselves on the back. Those Pac-12 guys that we got.
They might have been staying up late partying last night. Pac-12 is looking really, really good this year. There's been a lot of good football being played over in that conference for its last year being together.
Death row in the Pac-12.
Absolutely.
Speaking of death row and murder, how about Bama and Ole Miss? 24-10. Bama comes back and rights the ship.
Yeah, Christian, I'll say this much. I know I like Lane Kiffin, but I just, again, man, they look. What happened to them yesterday, man? I mean, Alabama. We're going to hear about Alabama's now back. I mean, defensively, I know they only give up 10 points in that game. I'm still not sold on their offense whatsoever, but Bama's on their last leg. Somebody's going to knock them off here shortly. I thought Ole Miss might have had a chance yesterday, but I think it's coming. I do. I think it's coming against somebody in the SEC. I wasn't sold on Bama's win yesterday. I did take them to win, but again, until I see Lane Kiffin beat somebody, Ole Miss just I don't know, dude. Jackson Dart, they didn't run the ball yesterday either, Christian. I think they only had probably 100 yards on the ground, if that, yesterday. Ole Miss.
It was shocking. It was shocking to me because they just looked so defensively. They looked god awful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact that Bama, and I said that coming into that game too. I said Ole Miss is going to have to score 30 points if they want to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
They just are. And ironically, if they would have scored 30 points, they would have won the game. And it's one of those things where, like we touched on yesterday, Chris, Alabama was hitting wide open check downs down to the running back. Just all game long. I mean, it wasn't anything great. It was just Ole Miss just can't cover anybody.
No.
So if you're an Alabama fan, you need to send everything that you can, every congratulatory text to Pete Golding, who won that game for you last night. Obviously, the old Alabama defensive coordinator turned Ole Miss defensive coordinator helped Bama win another game, and he wasn't even on the sidelines for Bama. So,
yeah, no, it's Bama's. They're not good. They survive another week. But yeah, going forward, they got some huge question marks that I don't think can be answered this season. I don't on both sides. I still have questions about Alabama's defense for sure.
By the way, Bama plays Mississippi State this weekend. Then they go to play Texas A&M, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, Kentucky.
There's your gauntlet.
Tennessee, Chattanooga, and at Auburn. And I don't know. It might be lucky to go 500 throughout that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Alabama this year, 100%. You know what? Dan the Man brings up a good team I wanted to talk about. USC. They were favored by 37 in that fucking game. This is typical Lincoln Riley, though. I mean, this guy can't trot on a fucking defense. Ask the Oklahoma man about it. It's no different this year. That team has zero defense, and I don't understand why. I don't know if they just don't care and they think they're going to beat everybody, Christian, 60-50 or what. But it amazes me. Arizona State's a really bad team this year, and it's one of the very few teams out of the Pac-12 that isn't any good, and giving up that many points again. I don't get it, man. I don't. And they USC's got to play Colorado next week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to a third string quarterback too.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had Drew Pine, the former Notre Dame quarterback.
Oh shit.
Who they had basically dot him up. Duke steamrolled UConn 41-7.
Duke's they're coming on to that ACC, Christian. What do you think?
I mean, they're doing what they need to do. I mean, I think Duke's next game, let me make sure I got this right here. I think if I'm thinking about this right. Duke's next game this week against Notre Dame.
Wow. That'll be I think Duke's defense is pretty good. I do. I really do. I think they're pretty legit. That'll be a good game. I like that.
Yeah.
That'll be a good game. I'm glad you brought that up.
That will be a really good game here. A couple more scores we'll get through. Colorado got demolished by Oregon, 42-6. So somebody said it's not going to be a blowout. Like that just blows my mind that people said it wasn't going to be a blowout. I mean, it was so bad that the guy that tells you to get that beard ready to get chopped off hasn't been back.
Yeah, and you won't see him. You won't see the Colorado, the Buffs man, that other guy that comments all the time on our stuff. Those guys went back into hiding. You won't see them the rest of the year until they beat maybe Arizona State, and then they'll come out of the woodwork again. Because USC is going to kick the shit out of Colorado too. Colorado had I swore I saw a first half stat they had like 21 fucking yards. I mean, it was just Shedeur Sanders is going to get hurt, dude. They can't protect that guy to save their life. And this is what we talked about all offseason about their offensive line and the depth that they don't have there. And it's showing, man. You said they brought guys on from, group of 5 schools and backups, and people tried telling us we don't know what the hell we're talking about. And they're giving up like 10 sacks a game. I'm not even joking. It's Colorado's screwed. No Travis Hunter. Shedeur Sanders gets hurt next week, and that team. And then Christian, to touch on their defense, please, or lack thereof. I mean, Oregon did whatever they wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, they just, God, man. I mean, defensively, they are not a very good team. And I think it starts up front. That's really what it starts up. It starts up front. They're built, honestly, like a Big 12 team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, it's a good thing they're not going to the Big 10 next year. Children of the Corn says, I thought about what we were talking about last night. Utah could win the Big 12 next year over Colorado. Yeah, they could.
Utah's a good football team. A well-coached football team.
I mean, Utah, I'm glad you brought up Utah. Utah, they beat UCLA 14-7.
Yeah. Kyle
Whittingham and the Utes, they just figured out a way to win, man.
Mm-hmm. It's ugly sometimes, but they get it done.
Dude, I mean, with a true freshman quarterback or a freshman quarterback at home against the number 22 team in the country, I mean, the defense steps up. I think at one point, Chris, they had like 16 or 17 guys that were banged up for Utah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean,
without their starting quarterback too.
Yeah, I mean, so still win. I mean, just absolute insanity, dude.
Yeah, no, Utah fit well over there, man. They're the one school I've liked. Christian and I like Utah a lot. We talk about them all off season. And we got a pretty decent fan base, too, that likes Utah, obviously, on this channel. But, Utah is a good football team. They play really good defense. They find ways to win. It might be ugly, but they're doing this all without Cam Rising on the offense. I'm really impressed. And I think shout out to the UCLA, man. Their defense is pretty good. UCLA didn't really play anybody coming into this game. They looked really good on defense. I thought they played a good game. If you guys didn't watch it, it was like the 5th play of the game. UCLA threw a pick 6 right away, and Utah got up on them. Other than that, it was 7-7. That was basically would have been the final if it went to overtime, obviously. But hats off to UCLA, though. I think I did pick UCLA to win that game, but me and Christian definitely didn't think it was going to be that low scoring. We thought it was going to be low scoring, but not a 14-7. But yeah, hats off Utah as well. Utah is a good football team.
Defenses are making a comeback. Looking at some of these scores, Chris.
Yeah. Holy shit.
One where you almost wondered where the defense was at all night was Arkansas and LSU.
Boy, I wanted to talk about this game for a second. LSU, like I said, I don't know what's going on with LSU, Christian. They completely shut down in that game against Florida State in the second half. They did non-existent, and then they played that whole game against Arkansas, and then at the end they finally decided maybe play a little bit of defense. And I know Arkansas LSU is a rivalry type of game down there. I know they don't like each other and all that. And we kind of said that was going to be a close game. But I'm just surprised. LSU has a chance this year as good as any, with Alabama not being very good at all and Georgia not looking great out the gate so far, to really do something under Kelly. And I'm not seeing it, man. LSU hasn't shown me much other than that they did win a close game last night against an Arkansas team that just got beat by the bicycle school a week before.
Yeah, I mean, some of those kids are out there going door to door, trying to talk about, the Mormon religion and stuff like that, dude. I mean, they got beat by a bunch of, musical, theater majors, the Book of Mormon on Broadway. Go see it wherever you can. But the week prior to that, I don't know, dude. I mean, Arkansas, I know with Sam Pittman, they're a sneaky good team. They got KJ Jefferson, and they got, that running back.
Raheem Sanders, and he's been hurt.
Yeah, Raheem Sanders. I mean, so I'm just saying they had some pieces to make it interesting, but that's Arkansas. I don't think is a very good football team.
No, I think they made their run a couple years ago, and they're done.
there may be a 5 or 6 win team.
Yeah, I agree. I was off on them this year.
LSU, yeah, Chris, you said it. I mean, just what shocks me though, LSU. Who do they play this week? Let's take a look and see who they play.
Yeah, who do they have?
Got Ole Miss. So,
Ooh. Where's that at?
I think it's at Ole Miss.
Does Lane Train get his big win?
I don't know. I mean, that's kind of the one. That's kind of one where either way, somebody's going to come out of that game fired up. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to kind of sit down and probably dig into it and take a look. Again, it depends who plays like they did like the week prior.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
Let's see. Washington dismantled Cal. Same thing with UNC Pitt. We touched on the Iowa Penn State game there. Texas beat the dog shit out of Baylor 38-6. Texas got a little bit of some. What about Texas and Oklahoma, Chris? Holding their opponents to 12 points combined. Ever think we'd say that?
No, I can't believe you might have to repeat that. I didn't think that was ever going to happen in the Big 12 where teams actually play some defense. Unbelievable, man.
Yeah. Kansas 4-0.
Yeah. Yep.
Going into play Texas. I mean, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Kansas doesn't look bad, man. That Daniels kid they got at quarterback, he can move around. He creates a lot of plays. Kansas dismantled Illinois, by the way. I watched that game on a Friday night a couple weeks ago. That was just embarrassing if you're the Illinois man. But yeah, Kansas looks good. I do. I was off on them this year. I didn't think they'd probably make a bowl game. They're well on their way.
Take a look here quick. Looking ahead at some of the matchups we've got this week here. Utah takes on Oregon State, so that'll be a good one.
Yeah, Pac-12 is going to have all these ranked matchups from here on out. All those teams are rated.
USC at Colorado, that'll be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M at Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky.
Ooh, I'm taking the Wildcats in that one, baby. 100%.
Georgia at Auburn, Nebraska at Michigan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm.
Says Kansas at Texas, number 3 Texas.
Okay.
You got. I mean, are you giving Kansas a shot to beat Texas this week? 4-0 coming into this game.
Do they have a shot? Yes. Kansas has. I've watched them play. They're not a bad team. I don't know if they can shut down Quinn Ewers. I think Kansas will be able to put some points on the board. And I know Texas defenses look pretty good this year, but I'll have to do a little digging on that one, though. I'll have to. That's an interesting game, though. Kansas definitely looks like one of the better Big 12 teams this year for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that to me what LSU's doing where I feel like they're regressing is kind of what I thought Kansas would do. I thought, okay, they had a really good year, they're going to regress. Mm-hmm. And they haven't done that. They've done what they needed to do and they've just kept winning, so hats off to them.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
LSU at Ole Miss, we touched on that one. It's going to be whoever makes the least amount of mistakes in that one, I think.
Yeah. Yep. That'll be a close game all the way through.
Georgia Southern takes on Coastal Carolina. Not that anybody cares.
But I care.
Duke takes on Notre Dame. That's going to be a really good matchup.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That'll be a big one. I think, I don't know. Do you pull an upset again here with Duke? You've been on them all year, Christian. You get to announce it on Wednesday?
I think that if Notre Dame would have beat Ohio State, they probably would have been, ripe for the upset. The fact that they lost in a last-second dramatic fashion, I think is, I think Notre Dame's going to be fired up.
Yeah, Yeah, their season's on the line. Like I said, they got to play USC in a couple weeks too. So I mean, they got Clemson as well. So yeah, their schedule's pretty brutal. They got to win if they want a shot at the playoffs. I mean, obviously after getting beat yesterday, I agree.
Tennessee and South Carolina play each other.
Ooh,
That'll be a good
wow.
one.
Yeah, I don't know who I would take in that game. You guys will have to stay tuned on the Wednesday show for that one.
Good one. Definitely to see West Virginia plays TCU.
West Virginia surprising some people.
I think so. Neil Brown's coaching for his life out there.
Yep.
3-1 right now. First in the Big 12.
Wow.
Tied for first in the Big 12.
That's crazy. Yeah, I had them being the worst team in the Big 12 this year. I was completely wrong about West Virginia. Hats off the Mountaineer, man.
It's not pretty. I mean, winning games over Pitt, 17-6, beat Texas Tech 20-13. TCU might smoke them, but then after that they play Houston, Oklahoma State, who dropped one against
Iowa State. Those two teams are grade A trash, by the way. Oklahoma State and Iowa State. Those two teams are terrible.
Now they dropped one to South Alabama.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought you were talking.
And it wasn't just like it was 33-7. South Alabama beat them 33-7.
That's Van Gundy's last year.
He might do better if he was Stan Van Gundy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, like I said, we'll see them. Bama obviously takes on Mississippi State. You give a Mississippi State a shot in that one, Chris?
No. I watched Mississippi State just get ate alive by LSU 2 weeks ago. They Will Rogers, I mean, they just can't move the ball on offense, dude. And I know I'm not sitting here saying Alabama's this great team, but not in this one. I don't see it. Not this week. Not this week for Alabama to go to get beat. What about you?
No. I mean, I can't give Mississippi State the benefit of the doubt. I mean,
yeah, I
think exactly like you said, Chris. I mean, the game is, it's at home.
Yeah, and it's a tougher place to play there, but Mississippi State doesn't have much of a defense either. And I know Alabama's offense isn't elite or even close to that, but I don't see it, Christian. Not this week.
I think whenever you shoot me that text tomorrow and let me know how I did for the week and what my percentage is or whatever, I might end up pulling Mississippi State to win.
All right. I'll get on that tomorrow. I'll send it over. Christian's hitting probably like 70% of his games this year. Yeah, that'll be a good game though. It'll be an interesting game for sure though. 100%.
Guys, I think what we'll do is we'll jump back on the Wednesday show where we do the previews and predictions. Be sure to be there. You're not going to want to miss that, obviously.
No. That's our
Chris, any final thoughts here as we get ready to get off?
Not much, guys. Just like I said, appreciate the support. Coming out on a Sunday morning. We got NFL coming up today. If you guys follow any NFL, me and Christian sure do. Like I said, I again appreciate the support. Join us on the Wednesday show. That's always a fun one where we do our predictions. We usually piss some people off, make some people really happy. Welcome to the I-80 boys.
Welcome to the I-80 boys and gals.